us in the midst of the storms of this world. And that God is with us. And that God will uphold us. That brings peace to us in the midst of the storm.
Sure.
If you can't see any of that in the Bible, man, then woe is you.
Yeah.
You're going to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's like, and if you've never despised yourself for weakness, oh, glory to God. Right? So this is for people who have. I talk to them all the time. There's a whole lot of people
That's right.
who feel ashamed for feeling weakness and feeling subverted and conclude that means there's something wrong with them. Right? And this message will set them free. Because, and I talked about this, but I grew up in a culture. I walked through many different movements in the body of Christ. One of the movements I walked through was we were big on getting a word.
Yeah.
I need a word.
Yeah.
You know, whatever storm we were in, we needed a word to get over the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would seek a word. Seek a word from this person. You come to church, I need a word. You're wanting somebody to come up and be able to give you a word that will bring you peace. Like it's almost every meeting you go to, I need a word from somebody.
Right.
Listen, well, that led me to experience a life like this, up and down. And the downs were all the ways in between me getting a word. And when I got a word, I'd feel real high and happy for a while because I feel like, oh, God is with me.
That's right.
Everything is okay. And then as soon as that word wear off, man, I'm down in the pit again. I need another word so I can get back up. Well, what I realized through this experience that I had with weakness is that I needed a word. But the word that I needed was the word of Christos.
Yes. Right.
And what I realized is that God came and gave me a word when I needed it. And the word He gave me was Jesus. And what I mean was He came and discerned my life or interpreted my life through Jesus. He came and revealed His Son in me.
Yeah.
He gave me a word of wisdom about my life. He gave me a word of knowledge about my life. And the word of knowledge and the word of wisdom He gave was Christ.
Yeah.
And what I found was that was a word that never went away. It didn't leave me hitting the bottom and needing another word. It left me up here.
Right.
And so what it started happening was God come and reshaped my idea of what a word of wisdom and a word of knowledge first and foremost is. It doesn't mean it can't look other ways sometimes. But first and foremost, all human beings needed a word of wisdom. We needed a word of knowledge. And God, when He saw we needed a word, the word He came with was Christ.
Yeah.
And so He gave us a word of wisdom about our lives and our life with Him. He gave us a word of knowledge about our life and our life with Him. So we could see it clearly. And in seeing that He was never ashamed to call us His own. He had never turned His back on us. He had never abandoned us. He was never the one killing us because of our sin. The serpent was the one killing us. See, He came and gave us a word of wisdom and a word of knowledge. And that is designed to bring peace to our lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's something else that God straightened out in me through this, is the way that I look at words of wisdom and words of knowledge. First and foremost, if we want to use a pyramid and take it from the top down, first and foremost, a word of wisdom and a word of knowledge has got to be defined as the Word that was made flesh in Jesus.
Yes.
John said, Jesus was the light that entered into the world, and He is the light that lit up every man's life. What does that mean? That Jesus is the light that entered the world to shine a light and interpret all human beings' life with the Father.
Boom. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Adam thought God was ashamed of him and angry with him because of his sin. So did all of us. God came and gave us a word of knowledge about that situation, because we see Jesus had our sin and our death upon Him, and we see Him dead in the grave, and God came and claimed Jesus as His own.
That's right.
You see how that was a word of knowledge, interpreting our life with God, and telling us, you guys think that I'm angry with you because you sinned, and that I've rejected you and I'm ashamed of you. I know you think that. And so He came and gave us a word of knowledge in Jesus, because Jesus took upon our sin and our death, even to the point of the grave, and then God came and said, they're mine. This is what I intend to do with your life. This is what I feel for you when you think I've rejected you.
Yes.
Boom. Boom. See how that's a word of knowledge?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you see how that's a word of wisdom?
Yeah.
Do you see how that first and foremost is how we're going to define word of wisdom and word of knowledge? Now, from there, We can go down the road, and in many different points, depending on where other people are at, there can be other words of wisdom and other words of knowledge. But all of those words of wisdom and knowledge are with one intent: to get their attention, to point them to the word of wisdom and the word of knowledge, Jesus.